are decaying in this country. Part of the reason for that young woman's anger is way beyond violence. It's schools that don't work, neighborhoods with no jobs, random violence, a sense of being powerless even though there's an African-American president. You know, there's a report today that over 3,000 people have been shot in Chicago this year. They don't get this kind of coverage. But over 3,000 people have been shot. Over 500 have been killed in Chicago. And yet, there's no national reaction. Obama doesn't notice it. Clinton doesn't notice it. And I think there are two different things here, and I don't know what will happen in the next 50 or so days. One is the country at large will not tolerate this kind of random violence. People will not tolerate looting. They won't tolerate closing I-85. They won't tolerate burning things. On the other hand, most Americans, I think, desperately would love to fix the challenge of the inner city, and they know it's not working. That young lady who was so angry a while ago, her anger wasn't just about the problem of police violence. She has a life that has no future. She has a life where she's going to have a hard time getting a job, a hard time living in a safe neighborhood, a hard time being able to go out and get the kind of education that she ought to be getting. So I think this is a place for America to have a serious dialogue and not just the usual back and forth politics. But whether we can get to that, I don't know.
We want to update the audience that now the Charlotte Police Department is informing us that the person who was shot by another civilian. That this was civilian-on-civilian violence. We can't say for sure. And now this man has been injured. We can't say for sure under what circumstances the shooting took place, but it was in the middle of a melee of protesters. Mr. Speaker, stand by one moment. Steve Harrigan, what are you seeing?
They're shooting rubber bullets. We're seeing a real massive tear gas as well as reports of firing rubber bullets into the crowd. This has been the most serious push by the police in the past 45 minutes, and it has been very effective. Some of the hardcore people right up there in the front who've been firing fireworks at the police, throwing bottles at them, have run back due to this latest assault, which is heavy tear gas as well as perhaps rubber bullets being fired into the crowd to try and take control of this main street in downtown Charlotte by the police. Megan.
Steve, how does this compare to what you covered on the scene in Ferguson, Missouri?
This is a lot more out of control than in Ferguson. This is a pitched battle between police and protesters that's gone back and forth for a long period of time. It makes me think that the police here are less prepared and less competent even than what we've seen in Ferguson. I'm seeing scenes here that the last time I've seen them were on the West Bank, the back and forth between Israelis and Palestinians with tear gas. That's what we're seeing here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Steve, we also had unconfirmed reports as of yet, unconfirmed of possibly more gunshots. Have you heard any more gunshots?
You know, it's really hard to confirm any of that. There are explosions of all varieties. There's tear gas canisters being fired. There's also very loud concussion grenades and flashbang grenades, which make a huge flash and a loud explosion designed to chase the crowd back, which certainly it has been effective. There have been paintball shots fired as well as rubber bullets. So there's a lot of ways here to get injured. And every half hour or so, the crowd will break into a run to get away from these things so you can get trampled as well. It's an angry crowd. It's a hostile crowd. And they're not going away, despite the fact that one man has been killed, one man seriously injured. This crowd of a hardcore of a couple hundred is still out here, and the police really stymied so far in trying to get them off the street.
Again, just to update the audience, we now have confirmed that one man has been shot dead during this protest in Charlotte, North Carolina over the shooting death of an African-American man by an African-American officer in Charlotte, North Carolina. The police say that man who was shot dead by the cop had a gun. The man's family denies that. The police have shown your reporter pictures of a gun near the decedent's body and what appears to be an ankle holster strapped to the bottom of his leg. That is the representation of police to Fox News. I have seen the pictures myself. For whatever it's worth, they cannot release these publicly, they tell us. Question whether that's the right move, given what we're seeing on the streets of Charlotte. tonight. I want to bring back in Mr. Speaker, because we still have Newt Gingrich here for a moment. Forgive me, Mr. Speaker, for asking a political question, but we are 48 days out from a presidential election in this country, and this has become a very heated political issue. Hillary Clinton coming out and saying this is abominable and that it needs to stop before we have all the facts, and yet North Carolina is a critical state in this election. Just quickly on the politics of what's likely to happen from here.
Well, look, here's the great challenge for Secretary Clinton. When she was at Yale as a law student, she was a co-editor of an anti-police, left-wing alternative newspaper that described police as pigs. Her natural instinct is to take the side of the people who are against the police. Her first comments about this were anti-police. This is not a country which wants to see what we're seeing here tonight. Now, no matter what the excuse, this is not a country that wants to see looting. It's not a country that wants to see random violence. And again, you mentioned citizen upon a citizen. Well, watch and see how many people die in Chicago this week with no one noticing because they don't fit the current left-wing political mantra. But the fact is, the current system isn't working. It's not working in education. It's not working in jobs. It's not working in safety. And that's why Donald Trump, I think, may do surprisingly well in the inner city because he's at least offering a chance to dramatically change things.
Newt Gingrich, thank you. I want to tell the audience that Hillary Clinton earlier today said there's still much we don't know about what happened here in North Carolina and in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but we do know that we have two more names to add to a list of African Americans killed by police officers in these encounters. It is unbearable, and it needs to become intolerable. And then she went on to say the targeting of police officers also needs to stop. Then she tweeted out, Keith Lamont Scott, Terrence Crutcher, too many others. This has got to end. However, we do not know what actually happened in these cases. An investigation is underway. The police chief you just saw, Kara Putney, was on our air saying this man was armed and not obeying police commands. The Department of Justice is already getting involved in the Tulsa, Oklahoma case. They may get involved in this one too. In fact, you can bet they will, because they've already taken hold of 26 plus investigations in this country, and some. I mean, the net effect of that is to basically be overseeing the police departments in those cities. So an investigation is underway. And there's a question about whether any presidential candidate should be very careful not to get out ahead of the story before we know exactly why a death occurred. We saw a man, as Mr. Gingrich was speaking, hold up a canister that was a tear gas canister, and we understand that the police may be moving in a little bit more tightly on the protesters, again, who are looting, who are throwing the tear gas back at the police. And now Steve Harrigan confirming that he too has heard reports of rubber bullets. We saw people walking, protesters walking and running. Here's a woman just marching along having a snack. But we saw protesters running before what appeared to be having gotten injured. Could have been rubber bullets or something along those lines. Some maintaining a party atmosphere down there, looking like it's a great time. Others, I mean, at least one other man was shot dead within the past 45 minutes. What does that tell you about the state of America today? Kevin Jackson's here with me. He's a conservative radio host and a Fox News contributor. Richard Fowler's here, too. He's a senior fellow at the New Leaders Council. Thank you both for being here. Richard, the whole thing is so frustrating. It's so disheartening. It feels antithetical to who we are as a country, and yet here we are again.
Thanks for having me, Megan. I got to tell you, I want to be real with you tonight, and I think some people in your audience might not want to hear this, but here's the truth. What the African-American community, we're tired of waiting, right? So we have to wait for the justice system to take its course. We have to wait for the investigation to happen. But all this time, another black male life is lost. I am a young black male, same age as some of these same guys that have been killed. And I worry for my own life, walking home at night or riding my bike at night to and from my office. This is a serious problem that we really got to tackle. And at the beginning of the show, you talked about how all the shootings are from police policies. Well, maybe it's time, just maybe, Megan, that we take a look at these police policies and really understand what's working and what's not working. Because clearly, in Charlotte, we see it's not working. In Baltimore, it's not working. In Ferguson,
What an idiot.
it's not working. In Miami, it's not working. Every city in this country,
It's because the people aren't working.
tired of waiting. What's unacceptable to the black community?
They're committing crimes.
Has been slayed by the hands of law enforcement. Something has got to be done here.
Just
And I know Kevin is huffing and puffing, and he can continue to huff and puff, but if
Yeah,
he's a black
because he's
person in
right.
America, he's just as liable to get shot as
No, he's not.
Sterling, and there's two individuals that got shot in the past 2 days.
Just to correct the record on
What an
Ferguson, Missouri,
idiot.
because that has been one of the most
Fucking
misrepresented
fool.
cases of them all.
I'm talking about the police department policies, Megan, not what
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Clarify that, because that is where the hands up, don't shoot lie began.
The Justice Department report talks about patterns and other people
They talk about systemic racism within the Ferguson Police Department. Absolutely, hold on. Absolutely they do. However, they also found that Michael Brown, the black decedent in that case, was charging at the officer who defended his own life when he shot him. I understand, Richard, but when you just refer to Ferguson, it's important that the audience understand what you mean. Let me get back to Kevin. Let me get the floor to Kevin.
No, you don't.
What you said. Go ahead, Kevin Jackson.
Well, first of all, I wish he had a cop here in the studio so he could blow my brains out while I was listening to Richard. What a bunch of nonsense. We actually have a city that's 40% higher in crime rate than the national average. Richard probably can't tell you the number of people who were killed in that city over the last year, which by the way was 62. He doesn't tell you that 35% of the city is black, but they represent 67% of the homicides, and he wants to blame cops. I'd ask a very simple question. Where were the cops when all the other crimes were going on? Is this the only time that the Charlotte cops have had a problem in that city, or have they had a problem for decades? It's only when somebody gets shot that the race pimps come out and they start making an issue out of something. You got people down there partying because the left narrative is yet again being brought forward, and they know it's a lie. You look at all the statistics that support. You look at all the statistics of cops killing police. You look at all the statistics of police officers killing blacks, and Richard knows he's being disingenuous.
You know, Richard, the problem is that the facts in this case in particular seem, unless you completely discount what the police officers are telling us, and they have seen the body camera video, and they have seen the pictures, they're not releasing them yet, but they will eventually, and if it's all lies, it's going to come out, is that this shooting might not be the one to make the point, right? That this man may have pulled a gun on these cops. But the question is, can you have rioting in the streets? Can you have people getting shot? Can you have...
No, these people are idiots.
Police officers, every time there's an officer-involved shooting where the person who is shot is African American, even if the shooting, by the accounts of the independent eyewitnesses even, was brought on by the man who was shot.
Well, there's a couple points. There's a couple things to unpack there. First, I am no poverty pimp. I don't know where that line came from Kevin. Two, clearly he's also
Said race pimp.
Alt-right and blaming this on the left. But you cannot blame what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the video was there. Even Donald Trump himself.
Not about Tulsa, Richard.
But you can't look at these things in a vacuum. Once again, the right and people like Kevin want to view this as one case at a time. This is a pattern. Are you going to let me finish? This is a pattern here. It's over and over we see this. We saw this in the Walter Scott case, just down the street from Charlotte, where he was shot in the back by a police officer. Once again, we have seen 400 years of compounded bigotry and racism play itself out in policies and police departments across this country. And if you have to be blind not to see it, or you have to be a self-hating black person, either or.
Let me tell you, that's exactly right, Richard. Self-hating black person. The fact of the matter is, you can't name the last black person shot by another black person in any city, but you can certainly go on.
Why are we going to black on black crime? Why are we talking about? We can talk about white
Just as you guys are arguing, just stand by, because the people are running again on the streets of Charlotte. We want to listen in.
More tear gas. It's really been attack, counterattack, despite the fact that police have said they're going to arrest anyone who remains out on the street.
Arrest them all.
Not been able to disperse this crowd.
Pieces of shit.
About 300 strong, and the police have not been able to dislodge them. They've just fired more tear gas, resulting in another.
You get a fucking job.
But just less than a minute later, they're beginning to gather again. These protesters right in the face of those riot police.
Steve, are they even attempting to effect arrests?
Don't you gotta go to work tomorrow? Oh, probably not.
It's a crowd of about 300, mainly young. We've seen this crowd really evolve as we see people hurl things into that line of police. They have their helmets and riot gear on. We've seen firecrackers thrown at them, bottles thrown at them, rocks thrown at them, and they've really just stood their ground. Throughout this protest right now, we know of one person shot and killed, a young African man. We saw him on the street with a wound to the back of his head, and now the city of Charlotte has reported that that was a civilian-on-civilian shooting. But that really means little to the protesters out here, many of whom, while running from the shot, proclaim that they saw police shoot that young man, that another man was shot by police. So you really have two versions of reality here, the official version and the version of these protesters.
And just want to tell our viewers that we are getting...
Because they believe what they want to believe and make shit up just to bitch.
The CVS has been looted, that at least 2 other stores have
And
been
then they
looted.
steal shit.
The Ritz-Carlton is confirming to local reporters they have locked the hotel
The most
doors.
ridiculous shit I've seen in a long time.
Windows there. And once again,
People are a fucking joke.
already 7 of those are Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department police officers who have had to be taken to area hospitals. The 8th, we believe, is the dead civilian shot and killed, we're told, by the police, by another civilian.
You know, I am absolutely sick and tired of this shit. I'm absolutely sick and tired of this shit. You get that same other guy on that.
A question for you, because Richard Fowler makes the point that if these are all within policy shootings, then the policy needs to change.
Richard Fowler, probably whining about reparations. You know what? I am white.
The man had a gun.
My ascendants were involved in slavery for hundreds of years. They were enslaved by Russia. They were enslaved by people in Europe. Do I complain about it? Do I whine about it? Do I mention that I am held down in life? Do I want reparations? Do I want money? Do I make a big deal about slavery that has happened to my family in the past? And millions of other people in this world, black, white, brown, Asian, whatever, they've been enslaved. Do they cry about reparations? No, they don't. They get on with their life and live and do what they need to do to succeed. It's all you have to do is work and get your ass off the ground, stop being a little bitch, and get your ass to work. And stop whining about reparations. It's the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. I was just as enslaved as you, my family was. Do I still cry about it 200 years later? No. You forget and you move on. Instead of running around like a bunch of fucking idiots, trying to suck off the tit of everybody else. Sick and tired of it. Every person in this country was a victim of slavery at some point in their past. Do we all ask for reparations? No, we don't. Because we're tougher than that. We're harder than that. We're not like you pussy people who ask for reparations and act like it's still a problem. Shut up. You think you're all hard. You ain't nothing. A bunch of jokers. You can't get off your ass and do a goddamn thing other than bitch and whine about being a slave 200 years ago. Fuck that.
As these protesters now have been in a violent standoff now for more than 1 hour with the Charlotte police.
Unbelievable. And each and every one of those officers has a family of his or her own. and has sworn to uphold and protect
Yeah,
the law
these
and
dumb
protect the
idiots.
community, and has been doing so from city to city in this country as we face the threat of ISIS and ISIS-inspired and other inspired
They give their
domestic
lives for
terrorists like
these
we saw here in New
stupid
York and New
fucks.
Jersey just this week.
Fuck them.
With the police doing a brilliant job to keep us safe, and yet there's no question there are some bad apples. And we have seen some, quote, bad shootings that are outside of policy, like the Walter Scott case. Cases in which bad cops have given all cops a bad name, where they planted evidence, where they tried to make a bad shooting look like a legitimate one. And the African-American community has borne the brunt of it in those cases because they are the ones who feel targeted. And there has been systemic racism found in departments like Ferguson, Missouri. And yet you find departments like this one, run by an African-American police chief, that are